Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Clearly Thriving. I'm Allison Clay,
And I'm Siri Harkins.
and we are thriving.
Clearly.
Clearly. Siri, what are you drinking today?
Water.
Good, good.
Hmm.
I have a red Zinfandel, a California wine from my wine advent calendar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like it. I like it more than I like most reds, which so far there have been a lot of reds in that advent calendar.
Hmm.
I haven't really minded any of them. I think as I enter my old age, my taste is maturing. But anyway, I like this one. It's like because it's a Zinfandel, it's like sweeter and fruitier.
Hmm.
So I like that. And then I'm eating a pumpkin snickerdoodle that I made from a cookie mix from Trader Joe's.
Yes. It looks good.
It's delightful.
I would be eating one, however, we did like a cookie contest at work. I say that as if I participated. I did not. I just ate the cookies. Um, but it was basically like a cookie exchange. So there were purchased cookies, but then the people who baked cookies, you voted on your favorite, and then the person with the most votes wins a prize. So I took like 5 cookies and had a bite of each, but that was enough to do me in, and my stomach has not been feeling great since. It does feel better after eating Chipotle, which feels funny,
Interesting.
but I think just that it was real food
Mm-hmm.
and not a buttery cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yes.
Fair enough.
So that's where I'm at.
Great. Um, my tummy is not upset, which is a new development for that to be the norm for me, and it's kind of great. um, I took my nails off today because I'm doing a 1930s movie tomorrow.
Hmm.
So they requested me to come with natural nails. I hate having naked nails. So it's weird. Um, I'm also sitting next to a big thing of sponge rollers because I have to set my hair tonight.
Ew.
I know. They sent me a link to the sponge rollers they wanted me to have.
Are they reimbursing you?
No, they're not. That's a great question.
I don't like that.
I don't either. But I'm supposed to come, and they sent me like a long list of hair items I needed because, like, whatever. And it was the only thing I bought from it was sponge rollers because they also wanted everyone to come in a silk bonnet, which, like, fair, but I already have one.
Hmm.
I did realize this morning when I woke up, my silk bonnet has Care Bears all over it.
Oh
So,
well,
yeah, I'll be showing up to work
whatever.
with my Care Bear bonnet. And then they also wanted me to have a setting mousse, a setting cream.
Hmm.
And they're like, it has kind of a mousse consistency. And I was like, so I'll use the mousse that I already have. Yeah. Anyway,
Wonderful. Sounds like a lot of work.
it does, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Luckily, I don't have to be there super early, but
So,
yeah. The things I do for paychecks.
yes,
Actually, it's more like the things I do for insurance days, but you know.
that part.
Um, we haven't recorded in a while.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't even remember when the last time was that we recorded. And a lot has happened, obviously, because otherwise we would have recorded. But
We've been very busy with life.
yes.
Um, a lot of holiday happenings, which shocker because it's December.
Yeah, we also last Thursday night we went to go
Mm.
see Wicked.
Hmm.
Not the movie. We went to go see the touring Broadway production.
Yes, at Pantages.
Yes.
We had thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
Um, Overall, I think the quality of the tour has improved from like a visual standpoint.
Oh yeah.
Because the last time I saw the tour, they either didn't travel with a dragon or the dragon was like really subpar. Because the first 2 times I saw Wicked, I saw it on Broadway. And I even double checked with my mom when I talked to her on the phone yesterday to be like, because she was asking me about the show,
Mhm.
to double check about the dragon. And she was like, I think the first time we saw the tour, they didn't have a dragon. And I think the second time we saw it, it looked like it was made out of styrofoam. And I was like, okay, well, good news. From what I remember about the Broadway production, I think the dragon is like comparable now. And my mom was like, well, that's exciting. I was like, yeah, it had like the smoke and the movement. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I also today, because I was like cleaning my closet out, because I like shoved everything in my closet before we had people over on Saturday. So I put my playbill from the most recent tour in my playbill binder, and I found the playbill from when my family saw it on Broadway in 2007, and we had Stephanie J. Block as Elphaba and Annalie Ashford as Glinda, and that was a great pairing. And to this day, every time I see Annalie Ashford in anything, because she's gone on to have like a pretty decent film TV career, anytime I see her in anything, I'm like,
You're like, I've seen you.
here, toss, toss, toss.
Yes. It was so we were there on opening night, which I don't think we really did on purpose.
That was an accident.
Yeah, we didn't. What's really funny is I took a picture of the marquee from across the street where it says opening night,
Even better, ask me if I realized that.
but I didn't realize that
No.
until way later. Like I had already posted that to my story, like whatever, and then I was like, oh, it does say opening night.
Yeah,
It does track.
they had the little red carpet set up, and they had people like walking it and doing interviews. Obviously, we did not do that.
No, we were just like, okay.
Yeah, we were like, we want to go get merch.
Yep. Hmm.
Anyway, we got our merch, which I think we played it right. We got there about an hour before curtain and went to the bathroom immediately and then got in line for merch, which when we came out of the bathroom, the line for the bathroom was so long and we like
Yeah.
barely waited. And then
Yeah.
we went to get in line for merch and barely waited. So that was nice. Um,
I think we both ended up with a t-shirt. I
mhm,
think I just did the standard. Did we both just do like standards show tour t-shirt?
I think so.
Yeah. They had some different ones that were kind of fun. They had like a more women's cut that said pink goes good with green,
Yeah.
but ultimately just kind of a more classic black.
Yeah.
Wicked. And then what did I get? Oh, I got the pin. They had a lapel pin that said Wicked. So I
Cute.
got that.
And then we both got the tote bag.
Yes. This is cute.
It is cute.
Worth it.
Yeah, it was only $5, so
Hmm.
I decided it was worth $5 to have my shirt in a bag.
Yeah, that part. Like it's a cute bag. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I wanted to get the little Words Project bracelet that said unlimited, but they were sold out. I've since learned that you can buy those bracelets online, but they're sold out everywhere online.
Oh,
Target had them at some point, apparently, sold out. So I set up some in-stock alerts at like 3 different
yeah.
vendors.
They'll have to come back.
Maybe.
This is true. Sometimes they release like the same word with like a different
That's true.
color combo.
That's true.
I don't know. Like, am I wearing anything? No. Just
No.
my permanent.
Your permanent, which has a beautiful twist on it, by the way.
A permanent that has fallen off twice.
I did the beautiful twist.
Yeah.
Um,
And the falling off is the chain's fault, not the fault of the welded jump ring.
yes.
The jump
Yes.
ring is always intact.
I realized, so I've been saying that I need to get my permanent bracelet tightened because I mean, I got it on really not that long ago, but I have lost more weight since then. But I realized I can literally take it on and off because it's so big.
Oh my gosh.
So I
Oh,
I mean, right
yeah.
now, honestly, it's not the end of the world because they didn't say anything about my jewelry at the fitting, but like, see,
Oh my god.
but like, if they decide they don't want me to have it tomorrow, I can just
Like what charm
slip
is
it
on
off.
yours?
That was the pearl. I just haven't fixed it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we have new charms because we have the gold paw print,
Mhm.
and
I know, I
on
want another bracelet.
Instagram she posted a butterfly one, and I was like, oh, I need the butterfly one,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yes, we are fans of our permanent jewelry, so
Yes, and we'll keep adding.
yeah, I want another bracelet.
Yeah. Eventually, I'll go in and have them work on this one. I think I'm gonna have them switch it to my left wrist because I feel like it gets lost with. Because on this wrist, I already have my watch, and then I usually have
Mhm.
an ID bracelet.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it works.
back to Wicked. My mom was shocked because she was asking me about our leading ladies.
Mhm.
I told her that our Elphaba was, according to her bio, from the UK. So she was trained up and down and forwards and backwards and just out the wazoo. And she was phenomenal. Like vocally, I don't think she ever had a weak moment, which is what you want in an Elphaba. I think she was probably the shortest Elphaba I'd ever seen. Like, I'm not mad at that because I
Yeah.
also am very short. Um, she was amazing. I literally think I had one thought on like one inflection on a singular word she said where I was like, not quite hitting for me. But like she was pretty great. Loved her. Our Fiero, phenomenal. Great casting for him. Also a big fan of the casting for Nessa Rose and Bach. Those are two of my favorite characters, and so I always have a soft spot, especially for Nessa. So like when her casting is great, I'm having a good time. Madame Morrible was great.
Yeah, she was great.
Dr. Dillamon was great. The Wizard grew on me. Initially, I was like odd choice, but by his second number, I was like, all right, I see it. Um, really, the big issue was our Glinda. Um, our Glinda, according to her bio, had a singular Broadway credit from a show I had never heard of, which means that it probably had a run that lasted less than a week. Um, she also went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, which explains why she was such a good
Oh
actress.
yeah, she was a great
She was a great
actress.
actress, but it also explains why she was not a trained first soprano because the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts does not have a music program. And that really showed.
Showed. Yeah. Glinda has some really difficult vocal parts, especially in the beginning when she kind of has this more like it you have to sing it in operatic. So some people
It's
are like, "Oh,
yeah,
I hate it because it's so operatic. It's so annoying." I'm like, that's the part. That's
yeah.
how you do it
I mean,
properly.
it was written for Kristen Chenoweth, who is a classically trained first soprano.
Yeah.
So if you're not a classically trained first soprano, that role is not for you.
Yeah.
And Glinda comes in on her bubble. She says her opening line of the show. She gets the applause that Glinda deserves.
Mhm.
And then she starts with her trills, and you could just feel the energy in the room slump
Cuz
because
she was straining to get up there.
it was out of her range.
Mhm.
She was not breathing properly.
Mhm.
She was not lifting her soft palate. She also was like very spread with her mouth, which like that you know. Um
I looked at Allison and I was like, "Oh no."
yeah,
Like, we both looked at each other like, "Oh, no. This
I
is this about to be
the
our
longest
the
three
longest
hours
3
of
hours of
our
our life?"
life. Yeah, so Glinda was not great.
Mhm.
She did Nail Popular,
Yeah.
which is also a difficult song. So like she's not a bad singer. She's just not a first soprano.
Yeah.
Um the second act, I told my parents, I was like, I don't know if they just like gave her like an intravenous dose of pure endorphins during intermission. I don't know. But like the second act, she was much better, but Glinda's pretty much done by then. Like
Yeah.
Glinda pretty much has all of her big moments in act one and all of her songs in act one. Um so and even the closing number of the show, those trills that come back from the opening number still were not there.
Mhm.
Um And my dad was like, "Well, maybe she was nervous." And I was like, "Well, that's when you rely on your technique and your training. Like that when you're nervous, at least in my experience, that is the only thought going through my brain."
Yeah, as you're just kind of muscle memorying it.
Yeah.
Um, Also, like, they've been on this tour for so long,
Yeah,
and I
we're
mean,
like
I get it. I think a lot of times, though, it is really intimidating to be in Los Angeles. Like, I kind of felt that when we went to Lennon Stella's concert. Like, I feel like
yeah,
she wasn't as loose as she had seemed in some of the videos we had seen at her other shows. I think that was just like a stressful
yeah.
venue because there was probably a lot more riding on it. So, like, I understand that, like, logically, it can be really stressful for a performer to be like, oh, shoot, this is opening night in Los Angeles. Like, this is
Yeah.
a huge market.
Like you're gonna be reviewed here.
Yeah. But my gosh, like, you've been on this tour for how
I
long?
think they're on week 13 at least.
Like, my family saw them in Denver in August.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Also, Lynn and Stella, yes, nervous, leaned on technique.
oh, yeah, she was great.
Like it baffled me. Yeah. And it for a while we were like, is she just not warmed up? But then I kept watching her mouth make the shapes it was making, and I was like,
No,
that's not the issue.
no. And I felt myself like sympathetically trying to be like,
I know
trying to lift my.
I was like sitting there like
Mhm.
with my soft palate like up in my eye.
Yeah, you're like, girl, just lift,
I'm like,
lift,
please use your diaphragm.
like lift, relax your
Why
throat.
are your shoulders moving so much?
Ugh,
Like in Defying Gravity, also their voices just didn't blend very well.
no.
And so like in Defying Gravity and in Loathing, but I felt it was more evident in Defying Gravity because then they're like literally the only thing separating them is a literal broom that they're both holding on to. So they're like right next to each other. And like you see them silhouette. So you see the like anatomical differences in what they're doing with their bodies. And just like, ah.
Yeah, it just felt like a very interesting casting choice.
Yeah, and it's like I was telling my mom because my mom was like, "Well, who cast it?" I was like,
Helvy.
"Telsey," and my mom was like, "What?" Because like they do the shows on Broadway. They do the main stage shows. They do all the tours. Like
Mhm.
that looks so bad on Telsey. And my mom was like, she goes, "Well, maybe she was sleeping with someone." We are not promoting that theory. I think it's just funny that my
No,
mom
that's
said.
just a funny thought. Like, no, that's not the case. Uh, she does have like her own music career, and I haven't listened to any of her stuff, but like based on her actual look without the Glinda wig, she's very alternative looking,
Yes.
which is really cool. Like, I love that. And I'm sure her like actual music is
Yeah,
great. So
sure.
maybe that kind of helped with the role. Like, oh, you have like your own music career. Like, that's
Yeah.
great. Like, so
That's probably also more in her vocal range.
but I was just like, but Glinda with all those, like, really? Like,
Yeah.
okay. I also, this is just something so interesting because, okay, if you've spent any time around people who are vocalists, and when I say vocalists, I don't mean like people who sing or like even pop singers. I mean people who are like classically training
Yeah.
actively at that moment. Their voices typically sit higher because that is a healthier place
Mhm.
for you to be speaking. Like, even where I'm speaking right now, this is low in my register. Like, I'm pushing, like I'm getting vocal fry, which is fine. I don't really give a fuck. But like, if I was trying to be working on a fucking Glinda ass role right now, you bet your ass I would be speaking like a chipmunk. And not like actually speaking like a chipmunk, but just like my voice is high. Like, I
Yeah.
do have a high pitched voice. But like the first thing we hear Glinda say, it felt
It was very
so
low.
low. And it felt like when I'm trying to push something low in a register when I'm on stage, which I've had to do in roles before, and I got criticism from a judge because it was a competitive show. Got criticism from a judge about my voice being too high. And I looked at my director and she was just like, "You're you're pushing your voice low." And I'm like, like we knew like that was as low as I could make my voice sound at a healthy place that could be projected. And anyway, so just like her first lines and like most of her speaking lines really having that like low push. Like Nessa Rose has some that are like that too. They're kind of that lower
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm like, you're Glinda
Yeah.
in Act 1. It's good to see me, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It felt like she was almost trying to be sultry with.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah, based on her Instagram, she looks nothing like how you would assume a
a
Glinda
Glinda.
looks. I could really see her like in like when Miley Cyrus did Jolene, like the vibe of that video,
Ooh, yes.
like a grassroots barefoot
I want to see her do
mandolin.
like indie, like
Yeah.
folk. Yeah, that's what she looks like to me.
Yeah, more like like porch style,
Yeah.
very casual.
So just so interesting that she's playing. But again, her acting was phenomenal.
Yes,
Like I totally
very good
believed her
actor.
as the role. That was awesome. Yeah, I was just really disappointed vocally.
But then you saw it a second time.
I saw it a second time. So I
I'm
went to go
so
see
jealous.
I went to go see it, a matinee performance. I was chaperoning a school field trip. So I get there, and the first thing you always should do when you are seeing a show is look at the board they have of the cast, because that'll tell you if there are any like subs or any understudies. And I looked, we had, I'm just gonna say understudies. I think one of them is technically a standby, but whatever. For our purposes, the understudies. We had understudies for Glinda and Elphaba. And at first I was like, ooh, I'm like, but then I was like, hmm. And I was telling that to my coworker because I was sitting by one of my coworkers. And I'm like, we have understudies for Glinda and Elphaba. And so we're sitting there, and Glinda comes in, and I'm just sitting there like, please,
Nervous.
please, please. And she comes out, and it's just like the let us be whatever. And it's like perfect. And I'm like, oh,
Good.
a classically trained person.
Perfect
And I was like,
and twinkly.
I'm like, thank God. Thank God. And I looked at my coworker and I was like, yes. And then we like were sitting there through the act. Elphaba was phenomenal. I will say it felt like they were both like they knew they were on it and they were on it. Like no crumbs. They were like throwing it all out there in like it was so good. Like Elphaba made some really fun like options and her songs. Some of them I felt like the tempo pulled a little bit. But like that is what it is, and that's just I was an instrumentalist first, so that's the shit I noticed that no one else does. Um anyway, just the pull and push. But they were so good. I was so pleased with that Glinda. Like her acting was just as good, but vocally so much better because she was so much more classical.
Good.
And like their voices blended. And that was the thing. Like they have so many of those duets where their voices have to kind of meld. And I turned to my coworker and she was just like, and this is a coworker who grew up like outside of New York City. So like she went to Broadway shows constantly. We were like kind of talking about that. She was like, which one was the understudy? And I was like, both of the leads. And she was like, are you shitting me? And I'm like, no. Mm-mm.
I'm honestly never mad to get an understudy unless I like bought a ticket to see a specific person. Then it is a little disappointing. But in my experience, and I have spent more years working in professional theater than not. In my experience, the understudies are usually just as talented, if not more talented in some cases, and they are very aware that this is their moment.
Oh,
So
yeah.
usually
They're
they give it
killing it.
their all.
Like I think when we saw Hamilton, it was an understudy for
Lafayette.
and for Hamilton.
Oh, I
Right?
think you're right, actually.
Yeah. Lafayette was phenomenal. That was one
Yeah.
that I was like,
I think
hold
that's
up.
why I remember that because I remember
he
you
was
pointing
so
that
good.
out, and I was like, really? Like it felt like he did that 8 times a week.
Yeah, but they were but I'm like, I need to double check. But like that was another case where we were like, that was the understudy?
Yeah.
What? I will say though, so we had, of course, the same yeah, we had the understudy for Alexander Hamilton. for Lafayette, Thomas Jefferson, and for Philip Schuyler.
All right.
Yeah, that's nuts. What was I saying? I got distracted.
You had the same.
Oh, we had the same Fiero,
Mm.
and what I gathered is that he was holding back because he was also performing in the second show that day, because he was not throwing as much out there. And then since he was playing with Glinda and Elphaba, who are understudies, who are like literally like
going hard,
balls to the wall, like throwing it all out there. So to have him come in and be like a little bit holding back, it was like this weird contrast. So he did not shine as much in my show. Like, because I remember feeling like he was so good, and I had a couple people that were like, "Oh, I wasn't really impressed with Fiero." I'm like, "Oh, I thought he was so good on Thursday." I was like, "But yeah, he was kind of holding back a little bit more." Ensemble always kills it.
Oh, absolutely.
Though, but that's just like typical.
Yeah.
I feel they do everything about 20 times harder than anyone else, and like nail it time and time again. I did notice there were a couple people listed on that were going on the show, because of course the understudies were in their roles, and there were a couple people that I could pick out, not in a bad way, just in a like, oh, that was a different person, in like a fun way. Good. Love the ensemble. Yeah, I was really glad I got to see it with the understudies.
I'm so jealous.
Just that Glinda was so much better.
That's what I'm mainly jealous.
But what's really interesting, okay, so these roles were originated by Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, and neither of them are tall people, but Kristen Chenoweth is shorter. And I feel like usually Glinda tends to be shorter than Elphaba. So on the Thursday show, we had a taller Glinda. Same on Sunday. There's a taller Glinda.
Interesting.
And so I'm like, oh, that's so funny that we had a shorter Elphaba. And in my brain, I always felt like Glinda was shorter and Elphaba would be taller. But I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. But I do think that was the first time I'd ever seen it cast that way.
Which is fine. Like,
I do love all of the meme going around right now where it's Idina, Kristen, Cynthia, Ariana, and Idina is like a head taller than all of them. And it's like you would think Idina Menzel is like 5'9", but she's really 5'6".
Like, she's not even tall.
She's not that tall. She's like barely average height.
Yeah.
And she's
They're
still
all
like,
so small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm nuts too. After I saw the play again on Sunday, I went with my coworkers to see the movie Wicked. So I finally went to go see the movie, which I did like. What's really interesting though is I feel like everyone who I know that has seen it has like said something about like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like I cried and da da da. And like, here's the thing, I'm like the person that cries at every movie. There have only been a select few that everyone's like, oh my gosh, I sobbed. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, you're going to cry too. Like, you get so emotional at everything. You're going to cry. And that's Inside Out. Inside Out and Inside Out too. Felt nothing. Did not feel that. I'm like, why are you crying? Like, this is not a sad film.
Bing Bong died.
It's a fucking imaginary friend. And he's annoying.
I liked him.
Ugh, I hated him. He was annoying.
Fly to the moon for me.
The only time that line was sad was after it was the TikTok trend with people's dogs.
I did make that trend.
Like that trend is the only reason that line has any hint of emotion for me, is because of its association with your dogs that have passed. But Bing Bong in and of itself, not sad. Also, like a middle schooler struggling with life. Oh darn, you have two loving parents. How sad. You're stressed out playing fucking hockey with older people. I just like, it's not emotional. Anyway, but
you're so unsympathetic for children as a teacher.
I teach high schoolers.
Well,
it's not like, literally, it's not sad. Like, suck it up. God, like you could have like crack cocaine addicts for parents, and you're sitting here crying about what? You like dropped something on the floor one time? Like, oh my God. Anyway, so that's how I feel about that.
We wouldn't have been friends in middle school.
We probably would have, actually.
I think we would have.
We would have been friends. Because the theater of it all.
Yeah, but that.
You don't get that deep in middle school.
Oh.
Um, I was a very nice person, okay? I'm the person that everyone's like, "Why are you so happy all the time?" And I was like, "I'm not, I'm just smiling because like that's what you do."
Mhm.
Anyway, but yeah, no, Wicked, I didn't there was not a moment where I was like close to shedding a tear. I'm like, what part of this is sad? Because I was sitting here like maybe they did something with the story, like maybe like cinematically they like made like a piece like just really tug at the heartstrings a little bit more. No.
I think from because everyone I've talked to that's seen it has said the same thing that they cried. And I think from what I can gather is that it's more people cry during Defying Gravity. And I'm like, is that your first Defying Gravity experience? I always cry during Defying Gravity. I think when I see the movie will be the first time I don't cry during Defying
Yeah,
Gravity.
probably. I think that's kind of how I felt. Like I thought so the movie is visually stunning. Like it'll be nice. Like I kind of liked seeing it in the theater just for it to be
Mm-hmm.
big like that. Um, because even like the intro, it feels like IMAXy the way they have the shots. I mean, it feels very like CGI, but like just the ways that you can do so much more
Yeah.
in film versus a stage production. That was fun. Like I think they really did the most with in terms of that and like how they made Shiz look and how like all of the things. I'm like in the colors. Um, so that was fun to see. But yeah, Defying Gravity, it was just like I don't know, like it was good, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is more like she's getting her moment.
I
Also,
haven't
like
seen it,
the way
so
they break it up so much too, I think that gets jarring because like this was my first musical that I fell in love with. Like I have the piano book, had the piano book from the moment you could get the piano book.
yeah.
Like my copy of the piano book has a little letter in it from Stephen Schwartz saying like I did the best I could with the instrumentation. If you need something slightly different, just send me an email. Like I'm not even kidding. Like that is in my piano book because it was so new. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. Like, how nice to know." But I think that's the thing too, is like I know the music so well
Yeah.
and I read the book and it's like I just know it so well, so none of it surprised me.
Mm.
And then in the movie, they did take some liberties in terms of like cutting up the music a little bit, not in like I don't know, but just they took some breaks to have like some cinematic moments. So in Defying Gravity, it's not just like the song straight through and like the person. So it's like there are those moments where there's like that lull and the pause and the something else is happening. And then you're sitting there waiting and I'm like, okay, well, I know this moment is coming. So it's not like a surprise to me. So I don't know. Someone else said that they think they just cried because they just loved it so much and it just like made their theater heart happy and they hadn't seen it in a while in general.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's crying because it's sad.
Yeah.
I think people just get overwhelmed. I mean, that's why I cry in Defying Gravity because I get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And when I get overwhelmed, I cry.
But like, could you really get overwhelmed by like vocals in a movie?
Debatable, I guess.
I guess too, especially after having just seen a really phenomenal stage production where I did cry in that one. I didn't cry at all when we saw it on Thursday.
I did.
Like, not at all. That was really weird too.
I like had little rivers on my cheeks during Defying Gravity. Because also, okay, so the lighting the last time I saw the tour was like good, but not like it is on Broadway. And this was like Broadway level lighting. So, like, the lift was perfect, the lights were perfect and beautiful, and like the ensemble was perfect. And also, the Pantages is a Broadway grade theater, it was built for that. So, it's the right size for everything, the acoustics are built for it. So, like, it just, that moment just hit like it was supposed to and I cried.
Yeah. But like in a movie, it's not as impressive. It's like,
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
not-
hard to translate, especially musicals into movies.
yeah. Which I do think they did a good job because there were some parts where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
like you don't have to clap during a movie.
Yeah. One thing I do really like about what they're doing with the movie is they are releasing a sing-along version, and they're telling people not to sing in the theaters for the normal version. I think that's healthy for everyone involved. And I did see today that the sing-along version tickets have gone on sale.
Oh,
So
there we go. We can go to the sing along.
my mom did mention, she was like, "Have you seen the movie yet?" And I was like, "No." She was like, "Well, maybe we'll go when you're here." And I was like, "Oh."
It's fun to see. I actually one part I really like is they have like the young Elphaba,
Mm,
and that kid is so fucking cute.
I
And the little
love,
baby Nessa
I was
Rose,
about to say,
so cute.
I haven't seen the movie, but I have seen those kids' pictures.
Mm-hmm. They're adorable, and I love their little scene. And like, also, I was just so fascinated with like looking at Cynthia Erivo, like just like the way they did the green and they added the freckles, and she had these contacts, and her eyes are so big. I was just like staring, and I'm like, they made her so beautiful, like for being green.
I also, I think I'm like resisting a little bit because I know I'm gonna get screeners of it.
Hmm.
But like, it would be nice to see it on the big screen versus like watching it in my living room. But I
Yeah.
could watch it in my living room for free and also not contribute to the profit. Not that I'm like anti theater profit because I'm pro theater profit. I just don't like some of the hands that money is going into for this specific movie. Support the Broadway show all you want. Those the people I don't like to support don't have their hands on the Broadway show, but
Yeah.
anyway,
It is what it is.
we'll see if I see it in theaters or not. I'll see it eventually. I'm uh, almost 1,000% sure I'll get a screener of it.
Dude, I pre-ordered food at the theater I saw it at because I saw it at the AMC. Maybe all the AMCs have the same food, but I saw it at the AMC at the Topanga Mall,
Mm.
and so we pre-ordered food to our seats, and I got a chicken
They,
Caesar wrap.
they brought the food to your seats?
They brought the food to our seats. Yeah,
That's next level.
yeah, they brought the food to our seats. So I got a chicken Caesar wrap, and this wrap was so good. It had croutons in it, and the croutons were delightful. Like I'm like, this is movie theater food, and I'm like, this wrap was incredible. And then I was joking because we all got drinks, um, and I go like this because I couldn't hold the fucking cup in one hand. It was so large because Annie's an AMC Stubs member or whatever, so it's like the same price to get the large. Remember,
Yeah.
we used to do that all the time. But I kept on joking. I'm like, oh, excuse me, with my bathtub, like
Yeah.
I'm like my jug, my bathtub. Emma and I were joking about it, but I'm like, and I filled it with I love they have the Coca Stole. Wow, Coca Stole.
The freestyle machine.
Yes, yes, thank you.
We love the
I
freestyle
love the
machine.
freestyle machine. So I did a mixture
Ooh.
of Diet Coke vanilla and Diet Coke orange.
Oh, that sounds delightful.
It really was. I was pleased, but I did a very good job of only drinking like this much of it so that I could sit through the whole movie. And I will say honestly, like for being a long ass movie, it didn't feel like a long ass
That's
movie.
good. That's good.
So I did not have to get up at once. I didn't have to pee. And I was just sitting there enjoying. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, this is Defying Gravity. Like, this is it? It's over? Because I hadn't looked at my phone at all. I didn't know what time it was. Like, and then
Well, good. That's the theater experience I want.
and then when I stood up, I realized how much my ass hurt from sitting that whole time and not moving. But
For 3 hours.
yeah, I'm like, wow. I was like waddling. I'm like, oh my God. The theater we were at had heated seats too.
Okay, Topanga.
I love
I
that
do
one.
love, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good mall.
Mhm. So that's that.
Ugh.
I did enjoy the movie, but it's one of those things where I don't know. I think it's really a mix of if you think you would like to see the scenery like that on a big screen because that was kind of fun, but at the
Okay.
same time,
I guess I'll just see what everyone else wants to do.
yeah, when your family.
I won't be the party pooper.
And if you're not paying for it,
Exactly.
because I did pay for my ticket.
Ew.
Yeah, that was sad. And my $7 bathtub. I'm like, why was this so expensive?
Because it can be.
This is ridiculous. I'm like, I had my Stanley in the car, but I couldn't bring that inside.
No.
I spent more on concessions than I did my movie ticket.
Wow.
I had a wrap and a drink. That's it.
All right.
Yeah. But it was fun. And then I had to go to work the next day, and that was sad. And then the next day, which was also sad. It's finals week. No one's thrilled to be there.
Yeah. I worked from home yesterday and today. It took me 2 days to do a singular project.
Oh no.
It's okay. Hopefully they like it. And then, so today the main thing I had to do was finish that first project, and I did. I got that sent off. And then, right as I was about to quote unquote clock out for the day, I got an email that a video I made, I don't even know, like 2 weeks ago, and then had to do a couple different rounds of edits on. They finally were like, okay, yeah, you can submit that to post. So I did. And this one is supposed to be posted through Amazon. So I submitted that, and Amazon reviews every video before it's posted. Um, and you're supposed to hear back within 4 hours. And so then I didn't hear back within 4 hours, and so I was like, weird. Um, and then I like went to see what was happening, and it wasn't showing in like my pending posts, and I was like, so weird. And then I noticed there was a new little tab for my post that said need attention. And I was like, excuse me? So I clicked on that, and there was that video, and it said it violated community guidelines, but it didn't say how. And so then I went and read all of Amazon's community guidelines, none of which my video violates.
Oh my god.
And so then I had to talk to their customer service, which means I had to go through a bot before the
Yeah.
bot would agree that I needed to speak to a human. And then the human was like working on it, and they were like, yeah, I don't know why. So now it has to go to their like higher review people, and they wanted me to have this posted within the next 24 hours. I won't hear from the review board. They said 24 to 48 hours. So then I had to email and be like, hello, it's after business hours now. Hope your life is swell. We have an issue.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it was a fun time. I loved my job. It's a great time.
Yes.
Right, Lila?
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Your tail's wagging.
Good. Hi.
It's wagging faster now.
Hi, Lila. I looked at you. It was very nice of me. Yes, attention to the dog. Yeah. Oh, hi. Hello there.
Anyway, I think this can bring us to the end of this episode.
We'll try to be better.
Yeah,
I make no promises, but we will try.
we always intend to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things just happen.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm Allison Clay,
And I'm Siri Harkins.
and we are thriving.
Clearly.
Clearly.